My name is Carolyn Calhoon-Dillahunt. I'm going to be your instructor for Online English 138 Introduction to Novel this summer. Since we're not meeting face-to-face, I thought that I would create this video to introduce myself to you and to introduce you to the course. So first, my name is Carolyn, and I do prefer to be called by my first name. I live in Zillah with my husband and a horse and several cats. And I love summer. I love being outside in the summer. I enjoy horseback riding. I enjoy gardening. I enjoy yoga and hiking. I enjoy traveling, and we'll be doing some traveling this summer, but I especially enjoy the opportunity to catch up with pleasure reading. That is something that's kind of a treasured activity that I don't get to do enough of in the regular school year. And I'm hoping that my love of reading I can share with you or help you reignite it if you have already had it but haven't been able to really pursue it in a while because you've been busy reading required things. Not that we're not reading required things, but I'm hoping they'll be really high interest for you. So this course is a 3-credit course in humanities, and it will, as part of the 3 credits, we will be studying 3 different novels. And we'll have a unit around each novel. And so the first unit is going to introduce you to the genre of fiction that is novels. And so there's some introductory information in the Unit 1 module about what novels are and a little bit of the history of novels, as well as introduction to the first novel we're going to be reading, which is a classic. It's going to be a shorter novel so that we can really get into it and get through it fairly quickly, but it'll be an opportunity to look at some of the qualities of a novel, some of the elements of a novel, and really start to understand some of the devices that authors use when they're writing novels. And so and we're going to use classic, but also a pretty classic or traditional method of evaluation. So that particular one will be a test. And so there'll be discussions, whole class, but it'll be a pretty traditional setup for that first novel in terms of instruction. For the second novel, we're going to do something a little bit more innovative. So we are going to be forming book clubs. And actually, I'm going to ask you to preference your books during this first week of class. In fact, by Tuesday, please submit your preferences. I think I have 6 or 7 novels that you can choose from, all bestsellers, all pretty high interest, all common ones that are in book clubs. I'm a member of a book club, and so if you haven't done that before, it's kind of fun to be able to talk about something that you've read together, especially when it's contemporary and high interest like this. And so I'll need you to select a number of preferences because I do need to form groups of about 4 or 5. And that means you may not be able to get your first choice. But I think that there's a lot of good choices to choose from. And so we'll form groups. And then once we have formed groups, you will purchase that novel. It is available in the bookstore, but you're not required to purchase it from there. You can borrow one from the library. You can use it electronically. I use a Kindle a lot. So whatever method that you want to get the book. And so you'll all get the book and you'll have a reading schedule that you'll be following and a discussion schedule that you'll be following. And you will be your own discussion leaders. And so that's the way book clubs work. It's not me in charge. It's you having your own discussion. So each of you will take a turn as a book club leader. And you will provide the questions and your peers will respond to you, and then they will take their turn doing the same. And so we'll try to make that part as much a back and forth conversation as we can do when we're in an online format. In addition, you guys will be talking together and creating together a final project. And so it'll be kind of a creative final project, a group project, something you can do entirely collaboratively online, but you're welcome to meet if you have time and want to meet. So that's going to be entirely up to your group, but you'll make your own decisions as a group. And then our final project will be individual. And so you are going to be self-selecting a novel-movie combination, whether it's a classic or a more contemporary one. And it's going to be graded according to a contract. And so I'll provide that contract to you probably around mid-quarter. And the contract, basically, if you fulfill the contract, you will get whatever grade you contracted for as long as you satisfactorily met all the requirements. And the requirements are basically to read the book, view the movie, complete journal entries, and to write an essay. And so the difference in the grade basically is determined on the number of pages in the book, the number of journal entries that you're required to do, and the sophistication, complexity of the essay that you'll be submitting at the end. So you'll get to self-select what you're able to do and what your interest is based on the contract choices. And so those 3 units will make up the course. You can expect to read probably 100 pages-ish, or maybe even more per week in order for us to get through all 3 novels in the time. It depends a little bit on the length of the novel you choose for your final. And you will expect probably an average of 3 assignments a week, kind of corresponding with the 3 days or 3 hours that this class would normally meet if we were meeting face-to-face. In addition, I've created an introductory module. And so for that module, that introduces you to the syllabus, to the course, to Canvas if you're not familiar with the online platform, to one another. And so that will need to be completed before you can start the first unit of instruction. So that gets me into a little bit of a little tip on Canvas. And so Canvas is pretty easy to negotiate. And there is instructional materials if you have any questions, and I'm happy to answer it if you have any questions. Sometimes it might be a technological issue that's beyond me, and then I'll refer you to our Canvas guru on campus, Jackie Staley. But one thing that you need to know about my course is that I'm going to organize it according to modules, and so it's important that you follow the modules. That is where the instructional material is, and that leads up to the assignment. That's where all the assignments are. It basically has all the information you need. There's a real temptation to just go to the coming up list, your to-do list, and to only look at those assignments and not to look at anything else. And I really urge you not to take that temptation because you'll miss things. And that will be frustrating to you and me alike because I've put some time into formatting the instructional material that you're going to miss if you don't go through the modules. In addition, Canvas will do you a disservice because since a lot of our assignments are discussion oriented, there is more than one due date associated with it, and Canvas only lets me put one due date on the assignment. And so if you are not paying attention to I have a unit overview and it tells you all the due dates for this particular unit so you can mark it on your own calendar. But if you're not paying attention to those due dates, you're going to miss things and miss points along the way because there's a date when you need to post by and then there's a date that you need to reply by. So I hope this helps you to understand the course. Please feel free at any time to email me with questions. And I look forward to working with you this quarter and reading with you this quarter.